WAITA for refusing to raise my sibling after my parents passed away. A tragedy left us both alone, but I chose myself. And the world called me selfish. My name is Zoya. I'm 25. And yes, I refused to take in my little brother after our parents passed away. I didn't do it out of hate, or coldness, or spite. I did it because I was drowning too. But let me start from the beginning. I grew up in a small town. My parents were loving, strict, traditional. I was their perfect daughter. Got good grades, did what they asked, helped around the house. Then came my brother, Ali, 8 years younger than me, wild, energetic, adorable. I helped raise him, fed him, read him bedtime stories, changed his diapers. My parents always said, when we're gone, Ali will have you. I smiled, nodded, but I was just a kid. I didn't know what that meant. When I turned 18, I left for university, moved to the city, got a scholarship, started living my life. I came home sometimes, for holidays, for birthdays, to visit Ali. He was growing up fast, always clinging to me, always calling me his second mom. It was sweet, but heavy. Then, last year, the worst happened. A car crash, instant, final, both my parents gone. Ali was 17, still in school. And suddenly, alone. I was in shock, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I flew home, organized a funeral, sat beside Ali as he cried in my arms. He kept whispering, "It's okay. I have you." That line broke me, because I didn't know if I could live up to it. Everyone assumed I would take him in. My aunts, my uncles, even neighbors. They came up to me and said, "You're the elder now, you'll raise him, right?" I nodded, because what else could I do? Say no at my own parents' funeral? But that night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I realized I wasn't ready. I had rent, bills, a stressful job, a small apartment, and a life I had just started building. I had trauma, anxiety, a therapist I saw every week, just to keep functioning. And now, they wanted me to become a mother. Overnight, Ali wasn't just any kid. He was grieving, angry, confused. He needed attention, time, structure, support, and I had nothing to give. Not really. I talked to a lawyer, talked to child services, looked at guardianship options. They told me it was possible to place Ali with a foster family or a relative, but if I refused guardianship, everyone would judge me. I asked, "What if I say no?" The woman looked me in the eye and said, "Then you'll be known as the sister who abandoned her brother." But still, I said no. Not because I didn't love him, but because love isn't always enough. The day I told Ali, he didn't cry. He just stared at me. "You don't want me?" He whispered. My heart shattered. "I love you, Ali, but I'm not capable of being a parent. Not now, not like this." He looked down, then I lost everyone, and walked away. They placed him with our uncle, my dad's brother, strict, quiet, but stable. Ali didn't talk to me for weeks. And then the judgment began. Calls from relatives, messages from old neighbors, long Facebook posts saying I was selfish. Some called me a disgrace, unfit to be a sister, cold-blooded. One app wrote, "Zoya is busy chasing money and freedom while her brother cries himself to sleep." They didn't see the panic attacks I had every night, the way I sat in the dark holding my chest just to breathe. They didn't see how I'd wake up wishing I could go back and fix everything, but I couldn't. Then, one day, Ali called. I answered, terrified. He said, "Hi." Just that. I whispered, "Ali, I'm so sorry." He replied, "I know. We talked for an hour." He told me about school, his new friends, his uncle's rules. Then he asked, "Do you still love me?" I choked. "More than anything," I said. Paused. "Then I forgive you." That night I cried harder than I had since the funeral. So if you ask me, am I the *** hole for refusing to raise my brother after our parents died? I'll say this. I chose honesty over guilt, reality over appearances, and I still live with the pain. But I also know, if I had forced it, if I had tried to be a mom when I couldn't even be whole, I would have broken us both. ** After Ali called, things slowly changed. We started texting. Once a week, then almost daily. Simple things. How was school? Did you eat? What show are you watching? It wasn't perfect, but it was something. And that something saved me. I knew I couldn't be his parent, but I could still be his sister. And that mattered. But not everyone agreed, especially my relatives. They didn't forget, they didn't forgive, and they made sure I didn't either. It started with a wedding. One of my cousins was invited. But when I walked in, silence, cold stares, whispers behind my back. She left her brother. "She's only here to take selfies. Ali should have come." Not her. I kept my head high. Smiled politely. But inside I was shaking. Then my aunt came up. My dad's sister. She looked me up and down and said, "You look beautiful. Zoya. Shame your heart doesn't match your face." It cut deep, but I said nothing. What could I say? That I was doing my best? That I cry at night thinking of Ali? That I live every day feeling like a failure? No one wanted to hear that. After the wedding, I told Ali everything. He didn't get mad. He just texted back, "You don't owe them anything. Just be here for me now." So I was as much as I could. I started visiting. Once a month, we'd go to the park. Have ice cream, play video games. Just be siblings again. One day, he showed me a drawing. It was of a tree. He pointed to one of the branches. "That's you," he said. "You grew in a different direction, but we're still connected." I smiled. "Who taught you that?" He said, "Grief group at school. They helped me talk about mom and dad." I felt a lump in my throat, because I hadn't even started talking about them. I realized Ali was healing faster than me. And that was beautiful. And painful. At the same time. One evening, Ali messaged, "Zoya, can you come for my graduation next month?" I said, "Of course." Then he added, "Can you be the one to pin my badge? Everyone gets a parent or guardian to do it." I stared at the message. My fingers hovered. Then I typed, "Yes, I'd be honored." Graduation day came. I wore a simple white dress. Ali wore his uniform. Pressed. Proud. Tall. They called his name. He stepped forward. Then the announcer said, "Badge pinning by his sister Zoya." I walked up. Hands trembling, heart pounding. I pinned it. Smiled. And whispered, "I'm so proud of you." He whispered back, "Thanks for showing up." That night, we sat on a bench outside the auditorium. Ali looked up at the stars. "I used to hate you," he said. "When mom and dad died, I thought you threw me away." I didn't speak. He continued, "But now I get it. You weren't ready, and neither was I." He turned to me. "We didn't break. We just took time to grow." I cried, and this time they weren't tears of guilt or shame. They were healing tears. Soft. Warm. Safe. Then he asked, "Can I ask you something honest?" I nodded. Double quotes. "Do you ever wish I didn't exist? So your life would have stayed easy?" I grabbed his hand. "Never," I said. "I just wish life hadn't made you grow up without them." He leaned his head on my shoulder, and we sat like that for a long time. A week later, my aunt called, the same one who insulted me at the wedding. She said, "I heard you were at Ali's graduation." I said, "Yes." She paused. Then added, "He speaks highly of you. I might have judged too quickly." It wasn't an apology. But it was enough, because I wasn't looking for anyone's approval anymore. Just Ali's and mine. I started writing. Blog posts. Stories. Pieces about sibling grief, about choosing your limits. About healing without guilt. And people read them, messaged me, said, "Thank you. I thought I was the only one who said no." So if you ask me now, are you still the villain for saying no when your brother needed you most? I'll say, I was never the villain. I was the wounded trying not to drown. And now, I'm learning to swim again, with my brother beside me. It had been 1 full year since our parents passed away. A full year since I said no to taking guardianship of Ali. And now, everything was different. Ali was doing well. Living with our uncle, top of his class. Thinking about college, laughing again. And me? I was finally sleeping through the night. Working again. Smiling again. We weren't perfect, but we were okay. And that meant everything. Then came the family reunion. One of my cousins was moving abroad. So aunts and uncles organized a big dinner. At first, I didn't want to go, but Ali asked, "Will you come if I go too?" I smiled. "Only if we go together." When we walked in, it felt like a test, like the moment everyone had been waiting for. Some smiled. Some stared. Some whispered. I heard my name more than once. "She's here. That's the one." Left her brother, now shows her face. I kept my head up. Ali stayed close. We sat together at the table, talked, ate, laughed, like siblings. Like equals. Like people who had been through fire and come out whole. Then my uncle stood up. My dad's brother. The one who took Ali in. He tapped his glass. "I just want to say something," he said. Everyone turned. He continued, "I took in Ali after my brother passed, and I don't regret it. He's smart. Respectful. A good kid." People nodded. Then he added, "But I want to be clear. I didn't take him because Zoya abandoned him." The table went silent. I took him because Zoya was honest. Because she knew she couldn't give him what he needed, and she said so. A few people shifted. Uncomfortably, she didn't leave him, she protected him. By stepping back. He looked directly at me, and I admire her for that. I felt my eyes sting. My chest tighten, but this time, it wasn't guilt. It was pride. Then he looked at Ali. And I see them together now, more connected than ever. So maybe we should stop talking about what she didn't do, and start seeing what she has done. For the first time in a year, I felt seen. Later that evening, my aunt, the one who once called me cold, came up to me. She was holding a cup of tea. Her voice softer now. You know, she said, I judged you. Harshly, maybe unfairly. I stayed silent. She added, I thought you were selfish, but I realize now you were just honest. It wasn't an apology. Not exactly, but it was enough. Because I didn't need them to love me or praise me. I just needed peace. Ali and I walked home together. He looked up and said, that was intense. I laughed. Yeah, he asked, do you ever regret saying no? I stopped walking. No, I said. I regret the pain it caused. But I don't regret the truth. He smiled. Same. Because if you had said yes, I think we would have grown apart. But now, we're real. He was right. Back then, we were two broken people trying to survive. Now, we were two healed people choosing each other. Not out of duty, not out of guilt, but out of love. 6 months later, Ali got into university. Full scholarship. He called me first, screaming on the phone. I got in. I cried, laughed, screamed with him, and the first thing I said was, I'm so proud of you. At his orientation, they asked students to write one person they owe their journey to. Ali wrote, my sister. She didn't raise me. She chose me. I framed that note. It sits on my desk now because it reminds me that family isn't about perfection. It's about presence. So if you ask me now, was I wrong for refusing to raise my brother when our parents died? I'll say, no, I wasn't ready to be a mother. But I became something better. A sister he could trust. A person who showed up. Even after saying no. Because choosing your limits isn't weakness. It's strength. Especially when it protects both you and the one you love.